Welcome back to another episode of the Rondo presented by Jameson. The European season is well and truly underway, and we already seen some unexpected moments so far. But what has been your biggest surprise this season? Let's find out. Tom, there's been some crazy results, crazy expectations from different things and different players this year. But what has been your unexpected moment of the season so far?
I'm going for a deep cut.
Let me hear that.
Pirate Almighty.
Oh my God.
Of the Kazakhstani Premier League qualifying for the Champions League.
Tell us about that run.
How fire. So they were, I think they're second, right, in the Kazakhstani league right now. They had to go way through Champions League qualification. These are the kind of teams that usually get bounced in the first round to like a Bulgarian team you've never heard of. But they beat one team, they beat another, they beat Celtic, who they're not supposed to beat, and now they are in the expanded Champions League. And Real Madrid have to fly 10 hours to go and play a team against Kazakhstan. They are geographically further away from the rest of Europe than parts of China.
That's insane, bro. You know how much that must have hit? That Champions League must have hit that club, that money?
Well, that's part of the problem, right? Because a bunch of people on Twitter are like, this is going to ruin the financial stability of the Kazakhstani league. Who cares? There's a Kazakhstani team in the Champions League, so that's dope. What's
even crazy for me is that Celtic team was competing with like Bayern Munich to the last minute of the Champions League in the knockout stages last year. Dude. To come and beat one of the biggest Scottish teams in the world, I mean, that says something, man.
Dude, it would be awesome. I mean, look, they're probably going to get beat, but just imagine if that club like gets a result against Real Madrid. A result of any kind. That'd be amazing.
That'd be insane. My revelation of the season, man, I know I talked a lot of trash about him, but Jack Grealish winning Premier League Player of the Month, bro.
I wasn't that surprised by that. I mean, I'll let you cook.
Let me cook real quick. Let me cook, man. When you play in a system like Man City, right? Yeah. We've seen a number of players after they left Man City, they haven't been able to get to those heights. For example, Raheem Sterling went to Chelsea, didn't do so well. And you would arguably say Chelsea is a better club than Everton on paper, right? Yes. For a guy like Jack Grealish, you know, you're in a situation at Man City. You came from a team like Villa, you're a star. You go to City now, your entire trajectory as a player changes. People don't even look at him as the same player anymore. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't taking players on anymore, and it turned into a meme at a point. You go to Everton now, who's arguably a relegation fighting team at the time, and he's transforming them into a consistent club in the Premier League, and now he's a respected winger again. I got to give him credit where credit's due.
Dude, you know what? I love it though, because like Jack Grealish has always seemed like kind of a maverick. Do you know what I mean? Like the give me the ball and like either get the fuck out of the way or make the right run for me. And I think it makes total sense because that's why he was so good at Aston Villa, because he was the guy. And now for Everton, he is the guy. And you know what? Give it to Jack. Get him on the plane. Jack is bringing it home in 2026.
Who are some youth talents breaking in right now that have caught your eye?
Oh, am I allowed to say the Liverpool one?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say the Liverpool
one? Go ahead.
So Rio Ngamoa, whose name I've just about pronounced correctly. Dude, he just turned 17. Right? He scored the winning goal against Newcastle. What was that, second or third game of the season? He came on against Burnley like at the weekend before we were recording this, made like a crazy impact. Like it's what I like to see in the Premier League when you talk about youth talents, right? Is like the kind of like fearless player. You know, do you know what I mean? Someone who can come on and just like be like, you know what? Okay, I've got the ball. I'm gonna try and do something.
He give me that shades of like a young Raheem Sterling.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. He's got that kind of like swagger and vibe about him, and it's funny because we stole him from Chelsea.
It is kind of crazy. I think a young player that has really, really impressed me.
You're gonna say the dude?
No. This is not even gonna be a player in the Premier League. Actually.
Oh.
I have a good story for you guys. I think QPR striker Richard Kone coming from Wickham.
What the?
What kind of story is that, man? He was playing in the Homeless World Cup a couple of years ago.
Was he?
Homeless. Didn't even have like European citizenship. Ended up in England, was playing non-league. Gets signed by a team in League 2 last year. Becomes the League 2 player of the year and is now playing in the English Championship, scoring goals for QPR.
That's insane.
I think it was League 1 or League 2 last year. He was one of the best players in the league. Now he's playing in the championship for QPR. Scored a banger the other day. Cut it off. Remember Connor Kawadi from the old Liverpool man? Yeah. Got it on his right foot, hit it upper 90. Like these are moments that we're talking about, man. For a guy who's playing in the Homeless World Cup a couple of years ago to now playing in the in a top league in Europe. Yeah. I know it's not the Premier League, but we're talking about going from the Homeless Prem to playing in the championship in England and scoring goals, bro.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
You got to give it credit.
You've won. I thought you were going to go down the Max Dowman route.
Oh, I love me some Max Dowman, though.
Well, because they were like, we have spawned the English Kaká. You probably haven't.
There's been some unexpected stories for sure in European football now, but it's judgment time. We got to talk about some of the transfers going on within the Premier League and abroad, across all leagues. Who's been looking good so far? Who are some of the biggest impact players you've seen in the biggest European leagues?
So, I mean, we've touched on Jack Grealish, so that's massive. That's really, really big for them, and I think that's a great move for Everton. I'll keep it Premier League again, and I'll go, bias. I'll go Hugo Ekitike at Liverpool.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about him is that you know when like your club signs a player and you're doing like the the highlights, the Twitter, the like what the streets are saying, you're reading like the 2,000 word like summary of his game by like LFC Red Forever love heart emoji, like you're on Substack, and you're trying to find some out about him. Nothing I read about Ekitike suggested he'd be good. Not like this. And we spent like 90 mil on him, and I'm like, oh, is he gonna be okay? Yeah. He's been excellent. It's been really excellent. So we'll go Ekitike.
The person that has really been shocking me on Liverpool that hasn't really quite captured my eye like that has been Florian Wirtz.
Oh, here we go.
What's going on with him, man? From a Liverpool fan.
Oh, here we go.
135 million, no goals, no assists.
Yeah, 007 was the
007 agent. But what's going on with Wirtz?
He's going to take time. I saw an interview he did with a German outlet last week, where he was like, dude, the Premier League's just a little bit faster than I thought it would be. And I'm like, getting there. And he is. He's improving.
Well, duh.
Yeah, can hope so. No, but he's getting better. There are glimpses here and there. I think the issue is that, like, the market's inflated. You pay what the market dictates you should pay. And Florian Wirtz is theoretically going to be one of the best players in the world for the next 5+ years. Should that mean that he's worth 125 million? No, but the market dictates that he's worth 125 million. So look, he's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm not worried. I think he'll be excellent.
I mean, I feel like I have the same thing with Victor Gyökeres. I feel like a lot of Arsenal fans aren't that patient with him. They talk about him looking a little bit stiff on the ball, looking like he's not really acclimatized to the team. But bro, he had another goal this past weekend. He's scoring consistently for us. What more can he do?
So here's the thing about Gyökeres that I always quite liked, is that everything about Arsenal is so rigid, and it's also so technical. Like, everyone's like a great dribbler, and like they know how to do the cute angles and stuff. Gyökeres is like, I'm big and I kick the ball hard. That's awesome. And you need another option like that, you know? Like we've talked about this, but if it's like plan A isn't working, what's plan B? And plan B is a big fat Swedish guy who can just kick the ball in the net.
Score.
That's cool.
And also, finally, Arsenal have 2 wingers that can actually take on people.
Oh, how does that feel?
This past weekend, watching Eze just take the ball, body fake, right, left, Jesus Christ. It just made me so happy to finally see Arsenal Football Club have 2 exciting wingers who could cross the ball early. That's all I asked for. For the ball to be crossed early. Finally, not having a left winger, I'm not saying any names, but that has their head down and dribbles kind of out of bounds or crosses the ball into a defender.
Yeah.
To finally have a left winger, that ball over the top from Calafiori to Eze to Gyökeres, I want to see finishes like that all season. Now, just looking at all of world football and not just recent transfers, who do you think is truly showing off the spirit of the game?
Can I cheat?
Yeah.
I think it's Thomas Frank.
Ooh.
Thomas Frank as a manager. That's such a trendy sentiment. But I think he's made Spurs so
competitive.
much better. Yeah, they're competitive, they're flexible, they're adaptable, and like they'll still find a way to pick it up because they're Tottenham. But it was just an excellent managerial appointment, and I think he's done the thing. And it's funny that they've got all sorts of like issues up top now with like Daniel Levy and the board and all of that. But like Thomas Frank was the right hire, man. I think I'll go with him. What about you, bro?
I think the best story that I've seen so far this year out of any other clubs, I think for me, we got to talk a little bit about what Vincent Kompany's doing at Bayern Munich. And I think it's a little bit slept on because people expect Bayern to win the league every year. But there is always a lot of pressure from that club. And you've seen already from this past season, they weren't able to sign the targets that they specifically wanted other than Luis Diaz. Yeah. They wanted Woltemade, but he ended up going to Newcastle United. They got Nicholas Jackson on loan. But I think for them, it was just like, how are you going to play this season without Musiala, one of the best number 10s in the world? They've put Serge Gnabry out there, and he's playing very, very well. But for a manager like Vincent Kompany to have that much pressure on you all the time, especially from the board above, bro, it gets hard to eventually just be able to do your job on a consistent basis. And for me, I think Bayern Munich has had a great start to the season, man.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I always think that Kompany's probably had like the good manager arc in him. He just played it horribly at Burnley in the Premier League.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
He tried to play football. It's like, dude, you're always cooked.
We are so happy to see the spirit of the game come to life with these stories. Thank you to Jameson for sponsoring today's episode of the Rondo. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and let us know in the comment section what is your favorite European story so far this season.